In 1854, a cholera outbreak tore through London's Soho district and killed over 600 people in 10 days. Doctors blamed bad air. They called it miasma. They were completely wrong, and people kept dying because of that lie. The real killer was the water. But here is what they never put in the history books. While scientists were arguing about invisible poison in the air, ordinary people in rural villages across Eastern Europe were dropping 2 different metals into their water storage vessels and walking away. No boiling, no chemicals, no filtration system worth more than a goat, and somehow their water was safe. For over a century, that practice was dismissed as peasant mythology, but recently, electrochemists ran the numbers and tested the results. What they found was not mythology, it was buried science, and it works better than most of what you can buy at a hardware store today. The reality of water on this planet is far worse than most people realize. 2 billion people right now do not have reliable access to safe drinking water. And before you place that problem somewhere far away, remember that in 2014, Flint, Michigan had children drinking lead-laced water for 18 months, while officials denied there was a problem. In 2023, studies found phos forever chemicals in over 45% of American municipal water systems, substances linked to kidney cancer and immune dysfunction, moving silently through pipes that millions of families trust every single day. The solutions being sold to you are either inadequate or inaccessible. A basic carbon filter does almost nothing against heavy metals or serious bacterial contamination. Reverse osmosis systems waste 3 to 4 gallons for every one they purify and cost hundreds to maintain. Boiling requires fuel, and here is something most people never get told. Boiling does not remove chemical contamination. It concentrates it. So when the grid goes down, when your supplies run out, when cost makes every commercial option impossible, what then? The answer costs less than pocket change, and it has been hiding in plain sight for thousands of years. Here is what actually happens when you place 2 different metals together in water. When copper and zinc, or copper and iron, are submerged together, something invisible begins at the atomic level. These metals carry different electrochemical potentials. Think of 2 hills of different heights in the same valley. Electrons want to move from higher concentration to lower, and that difference creates a continuous, tiny flow of electrons through the water between them. This is called a galvanic couple, the exact same principle that powers a battery, except there is no circuit, no device, and no power source needed. The water itself becomes the medium, and what gets generated inside that medium is one of the most effective natural antimicrobial environments ever documented in science. As the electrons flow, both metals begin releasing ions into the water. Copper releases copper ions, and here is where the real power lives. Copper ions, even at just a few parts per million, are extraordinarily lethal to bacteria, viruses, and parasites. They do not attack through a single pathway the way antibiotics do, they attack through several simultaneously. They breach cell membranes, shut down internal enzymes, and trigger oxidative reactions that collapse the microorganism from within. Because the assault hits multiple biological systems at once, bacteria cannot evolve resistance to it. There is no mutation that saves a cell from having its membrane destroyed and its proteins deactivated at the same time. Evolution simply has no answer for that kind of simultaneous multi-front attack. Zinc ions contribute something equally critical. They disrupt microbial metabolism and prevent biofilm formation, the protective coating that allows bacteria like E. coli and Legionella to survive inside water systems and resist conventional treatment. When copper and zinc work together in a galvanic system, you get a layered, self-sustaining antimicrobial environment that runs continuously, requires no energy, and does not wear out. The World Health Organization has published safe threshold levels for copper in drinking water, not because copper below that level is harmful, but because below that threshold it is actively beneficial to human health. This is not fringe science. It is documented, peer-reviewed, and deliberately ignored by an industry that profits from selling you something more expensive. In 2012, a research team at the University of South Carolina tested copper surfaces against dangerous hospital-acquired bacterial infections. Their findings showed copper reduced bacterial counts by over 97% within 2 hours. Against certain high-risk strains, the reduction exceeded 99.9%. Field studies across Chile, India, and the United Kingdom then tested the copper-zinc galvanic system against real contaminated water sources. Water with fecal coliform counts responsible for cholera and typhoid outbreaks was reduced to undetectable levels within 24 hours of contact with the metal pair. No electricity. No filters. No chemicals. Just 2 metals and time. Real-world applications in rural India showed a 33% reduction in diarrheal disease among households using copper storage vessels. In communities where that illness kills children, 33% is not a statistic. It is lives. And the entire system costs less than $1 to build. So here is exactly how you build it and use it, because this is the part that actually matters. You need two things, a piece of copper and a piece of zinc or iron. Copper pipe fittings and galvanized iron pipe, which is zinc-coated iron, are available at any hardware store for a few dollars. Galvanized simply means the iron has been coated in zinc, which makes it the perfect second metal for this system. Cut both pieces so they are roughly the same length. Around 6 to 8 inches works well for a standard storage container. They need to be in direct contact with each other, meaning touching or bound together with a non-reactive material like a rubber band or natural fiber cord, so that the galvanic circuit between them is complete and continuous. Place the connected metal pair at the bottom of your water storage container, a clay pot, a bucket, a barrel, or any vessel that is not reactive. The metals must be submerged fully beneath the water surface. For moderately questionable water, tap water during an advisory, river water from a clean-looking source, allow a minimum of 6 to 8 hours of contact time before drinking. For heavily contaminated water, visibly murky, from a stagnant source, or from an area with known bacterial risk, give it a full 24 hours. The galvanic reaction is continuous and does not require any maintenance from you during that window. One critical thing to understand, this method is extraordinarily effective against biological contamination. Bacteria, viruses, parasites. The galvanic system handles these with a consistency that commercial filters often cannot match. What it does not do is remove dissolved chemical contamination like heavy metals already in the water or petroleum byproducts. For that, you add one additional step before the galvanic stage. Pass your water through a layer of activated charcoal, which you can find at any aquarium supply store or make from burnt coconut shell or hardwood. Water through the charcoal first, then into the container with your copper and zinc pair. That two-stage system, charcoal pre-filter followed by galvanic metal contact, covers both chemical and biological threats together, using materials that cost a few dollars total and last indefinitely with basic cleaning. Now here's the question worth asking. If this works, if the science is documented, if field results across 3 continents confirm it, why is nobody selling you this at a hardware store? The answer is not a grand conspiracy. It is something more ordinary and more infuriating. A copper pipe and a zinc counterpart require no subscription, no replacement parts, no service contract, and no proprietary chemical. Once you own them, you own the solution permanently. That business model is worth nothing to an industry structured around systems that need to be continuously bought and replaced. Chlorination has a lobby. Bottled water, a global industry worth over $300 billion, has one of the most powerful lobbies on Earth. The galvanic earth filter has peer-reviewed studies and a history stretching across ancient civilizations. What it has never had is a profit margin. And without a profit margin, even a solution that saves lives stays buried while the industry sells you the next expensive alternative. The earth filter is not a miracle. It is not magic. It is basic electrochemistry that ancient villages stumbled upon, that modern science confirmed, and that the water treatment industry has had every financial reason to ignore. 2 pieces of metal, a few dollars, a few hours, and water that is measurably, documentably safer than what most commercial filters produce at a fraction of the price. The only people who never had a reason to tell you about it are the ones currently selling you something else. 2 metals, 1 buried answer, and 1 question worth sitting with. If the solution was always this simple, what else have they decided you don't need to know?